Are you experiencing chronic pain? Do you feel like you're aging too fast? Well, Randall Moody will help you feel younger. Email Randall at getx39power@gmail.com. That's GETX39POWER at gmail.com for a presentation on how Life Wave can help you improve the way you feel, the way you function, and how it can improve your overall health and way of life. Life Wave has helped millions of people cure common ailments, including diabetes, inflammation, stamina, and many more health issues. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Danica, and today we're going to be discussing the Golden Bachelorette, episode 3. So by the time you get this, it will probably be just prior to the next episode. So yeah, that's where we're at. So before we get into this episode, let's do some hot goss. So Lauren from B90 has been banned from one of the largest 90 Day Fiancé subreddits for making what some fans are calling vile and abhorrent comments about America, white people, his ex-wife, and women's bodies. So we're going to get into it, but in some of these comments that were made, but of course I'm going to do a warning before we get into it. So there was an AMA on September 5th in the subreddit for TLC's 90 Day Fiancé. The group currently has 745,000 members, is an extremely popular resource for series information amongst fans of the show. So during Lauren's discussion with fans, things took a little bit of a nasty turn when he started making comments about rotting, trigger warning. First of all, he says vagina, not vagina, sweat. It got much worse as he went on the attack against his ex-wife and a lady Lauren used to live with as a teenager who allegedly sold meth. So these are the following screenshots that I'm going to read. I'm not going to be posting them because they are very bad. So he goes on to say, and again, trigger warning, I would maybe pass the next couple of minutes if you don't want to hear any of this. So he says, my exes hate my kids and my ex-wife hates me. Says I'm bad and I end up moving with my abusive exes to not live on the streets. So I only see them rarely. Last time we went camping together, it was good. If I find a family willing to adopt us, maybe I'll get custody from my succubus ex-wife. Okay. To adopt us? What are you talking about? Some of my teenage years, I lived with a lady on speed and she sold meth. So that's some of that. So Lauren then made comments against America, calling it evil and controlling, while also implying the Philippines is full of rundown shacks. So let's get into that now. So again, just trigger warning for whatever we're about to get. I have lots of Philippines friends, by the way, not Filipino, but Philippines friends, and Philippines speak enough English. There I can live in a small rundown shack peacefully, unlike evil controlling America. I want to devote my life to charity and never make money again, but I have an evil ex-wife. You have kids. You have kids, right? Your ex-wife, you have kids that you have created that you need to support. So continuing his attack on cis women and cis men, Lauren mentions that he needs a female smell in possibly his most disgusting comment yet. So just again, trigger warning. Hormones control how your sweat smells, and so male sweat and men in general are disgusting pigs. So I need female sweat smell, and there is a difference in taste when your mouth is all over their body. And no one asked, sir. No one asked. No one. When asked why they removed the AMA mod, I'm the Jeffy now replied, calling white people the devil and making misogynistic comments about the female anatomy was impossible to overlook. Fair. So that's basically that. He's an absolute disgusting human being, and I cannot wait to not see him on my screen. I never want to see him again. It is unfortunate because I like Fave, but I'm sorry. I did watch the most recent episode, and eventually I'll be covering it. I just don't get why she's giving him another chance. There's no way this language, his feelings haven't creeped up in their conversations. I can't. Anyway, that's basically it. Let's move on to the next piece of hot goss. Now, this is below deck related, in particular, Down Under. So the chief stew, actually, no, I don't think this is actually Down Under related. This is about Aisha. So she announced on her Instagram that she's releasing a line of merchandise featuring some of her iconic quotes and other messages. And she captioned, I have some amazing news. I officially have a merch line. My darling brother decided it was time, and along with some help, has put together this first line for you all. And this was on her October 6th post. These are great little presents for stocking fillers coming up to Christmas, and by buying a shirt, you'll help this little family flourish. So Asia added that they have lots of colors and designs available, but they are just beginning. So more options will come very soon. So if you're interested, I'm sure you can go to her Instagram, find any information you need to get to it. But I think it's about time, honestly. So our last piece of hot goss, now this is Love is Blind related. So Amber and Barnett are expecting a baby. So on October 8th, the couple who, as we know, met on season 1 of Love is Blind, joined the first episode of Lauren and Cameron's new podcast called The Love Seat. While chatting with their fellow Love is Blind friends, Amber revealed that she's pregnant and that the couple is expecting their first baby together. And giving a quick life update, Amber shared, I sent myself back to school because I felt like we were in a place where I could do that. I have the support and I was mentally there. Then over summer break, he just went and knocked me up. There's a baby Barnett on the way. So it might have been during Cam's birthday party. It might have already been. So Cameron apparently had a recent celebration. So little baby B might come out ready to throw down with us. So on Instagram, Amber and Matt shared a video montage with adorable snaps of them from throughout the years to commemorate the announcement, starting with their wedding in season 1 of the series. So congrats to the both of them. Great. Nothing more to really say. But that is it for hot goss. We will have more, but let's get into the reason that we are here. So, Golden Bachelorette, season 1, episode 3, we're on week 2. So the men are just yawning. They aren't sleeping very well. There's tossing, there's turning, there's getting up in the middle of the night to pee, there's snoring. There's just a lot going on. And it's chaos. Charles says, I think Charles, our favorite Charles O. And Pascal is like, Mark, you're cooking for me? You cook, because Mark is cooking breakfast, I guess. And he's like, you're cooking for me? No, Pascal, can't you make your own food? You are grown. Can't you make your own food? Anyway, he says he doesn't like to cook, as we know, clean, do laundry. We all know this. Then Jesse walks in And Pascal won't let Greg sleep in the room apparently because he snores really bad. And but the part that's kind of irritating about this is like you kick the man out of the room, yet he's doing your laundry. That seems fair. And they kind of also just kind of troll Pascal a little bit. Like someone says, "Oh, I'll make a smoothie," and Pascal asks for some, or if someone's like cooking like Mark was earlier, he'll ask for some. And Pascal kind of says, "Well, I thought there was going to be a housekeeper here." You've never seen the show, have you? There's never a housekeeper. It's all on you guys. But then Jesse says, "We got 2 one-on-ones this week and then one group date," which is definitely a little different. The first one-on-one date is actually going to Pascal. He's the first one. And the date card says, "Let's see if we are lucky in love." So we'll see what's going to happen. Obviously, we all know. He says being vulnerable is definitely hard for him. And he does get a little bit emotional, kind of talking about that being difficult for him. Then we see Joan during driving the sports car. And when he sees the car, he is like, "Whoa." He's like, "Am I going to be able to drive?" And she's like, "No, no, no, I'm driving." And he's like, "Well, I'm a bad passenger." She's like, "Well, don't be a backseat driver. Don't do that. Just let it happen." He definitely likes to be in control, for sure. But then they're off and they drive up to a private jet. And they're going to be going to Vegas. And he's like, "FIFA." Yeah. And then they arrive in Vegas and he's like, "I have been in many jets." Flex much? Like, what the hell? But he says this one's different because it's with Joan. Okay. Um, then they walk into a room which has a lot of clothes. Um, and they also have like a piano player playing off to the side too. And like they kind of just, trying on different things. This is what they're gonna be wearing later during the dinner portion. And one point they come out dressed as Cher and Sunny. And so yeah, they're just having some fun. But she does come out in like this what I kind of described as like a Jessica Rabbit type dress, and I thought she looked really good in it. Um, Also, he does say, "Oh, I feel like Julia Roberts from Pretty Woman," and I said, you wish, sir, you wish you were that cool." Anyway, but then they do come out, or she comes out like in a silver dress. She looks great in that too. He looks good in this. He was like wearing like a blue suit with like a black tie, and I think it was black tie or black shirt. But anyway, he looks good. And then all of a sudden, we just kind of hear. Oh no, sorry. Before we get to that, let's do a little bit of a sidetrack to the men back at the mansion. So we have Gary and Charles. They're basically going to like this, like a, I don't know, like a Walgreens type situation because they're trying to buy stuff for for the house so that the men can get some sleep. So they're gonna buy some earplugs, some melatonin, to get, the juices flowing for sleep. So back at the date, they're kind of just, dancing to the piano. Then all of a sudden we hear a knock knock on the door. And who walks in but Wayne Newton himself? Because why not? Mr. Vegas himself. And I mean, my God, he is a legend for sure. But his face looks so painful. And my guy couldn't even open his mouth to sing anything. Like, did anyone else notice he was struggling to get the words out? Like, he couldn't say Dakishin. Like, that is that. He was barely singing. He was barely singing. This is when you literally had to say, "Stop it. Stop it. Stop." Like, I think the damage is done, but I mean, God rest her soul. It's like Joan Rivers. It's too much. You need to not. But anyway, It was great. It's Wayne Newton. Yay. So then back at the mansion, Charles is talking about his wife again. Now, okay, I love Charles so, so much. I really do. I think he's a sweet soul. I think he's a sweet man. He's probably one of my favorites on, I mean, really and truly, like him, Gary are really like my favorites in terms of just like, you're so lovable. And the show needs men like you on it. And it's amazing. I like Mark for different reasons, but they they're amazing. Just sweet, sweet souls. But Charles isn't ready for this. Like, maybe this can help with his healing journey, but he's truly not ready for this. He's still so much back there. Like, he is what Bachelor was trying to portray Gary as. But except there wasn't a lot of truth about with Gary. And I really truly believe Charles really is stuck there. And I'm not saying Gary wasn't. I'm not saying that, but I'm just trying to say Gary was able to move on. I think fairly quickly from what we were finding out. Charles is so stuck in it. And he is what they were trying to portray Gary as, which we will get to that in a minute, okay? Don't think I forgot that Gary is on this freaking episode. Anyway, but this is the thing. But Charles is not ready for this. But anyway, he's talking about his wife, to Guy, I believe. And he asks, sorry, no, I don't know if he's talking to Guy yet. I can't remember. Let's go through this and ride the wave. He asks himself, why did it happen to me? Why did it happen to her? And he did some research, but then he does ask Guy, who is our ER doctor, and explains about the fact that his wife had blood in her mouth when she collapsed. But as we have found out, she had an aneurysm, brain aneurysm, and um, the guy basically says to him that had nothing to do with the aneurysm. What most likely happened is when she fell, she probably bit her tongue and probably bit it hard, and that's probably what happened. And he said it had nothing to do with the cause of her death. And Guy says, can I give you a suggestion? Stop dwelling. Stop dwelling. And I think that's perfect because it's one thing to mourn and like be beside yourself with grief and you go through that grief process. But Charles is like it just happened yesterday. And he is dwelling on things that he doesn't need to dwell on. Like, first of all, someone should have told him that to give him that peace of mind. But maybe they also didn't think that they needed to. I guess maybe they thought like he knew, because I would never have thought her bleeding from her mouth would have been the aneurysm. But everyone, you know, thinks differently, doesn't know everything, not all doctors, none of us, well, I'm not a doctor, but, you know, they should have told him. But again, maybe he just didn't think about it. I don't know. But it's the dwelling. It's 6 years, and maybe I don't know. I feel for him. I really do. But he's doing more damage to his own mental health, continuously dwelling on the whys, the what ifs, the all of that, and it's not going to benefit him. And I'm sure she wouldn't want him to dwell on the things. Um, he says, because don't dwell, on the why, because you already know why. You know why it happened. So, yeah. But back at the date, we are in front of the Eiffel Tower, and I said, funny. We have the Frenchman. from Paris, from Paris, in front of the Eiffel Tower. Okay. So he asks about what she did in college, and she apparently did, I can't remember what she did, but she, worked for a number of years and what she did until she had kids or got married and, became a housewife. And I guess she became a housewife. I'm just assuming that, I guess. Um, but she asked, enough about me. What about you? She wants to learn about him. And he says that he didn't live, like, when you think Paris, you think the beauty of Paris. It's like, I didn't live there. I didn't live in the beauty of Paris. And he said that he was poor. He lived in a place that there was like 6 or 7 of them. Pretty much all of them were in a room, the kids together. And there was no bathroom, no shower. Um, he he didn't have any affection from his parents, which I think it's also time as well. When he finally got the opportunity to go to the States to, obviously better himself, he tells a story about when he has these shoes that had holes in the sole of the shoe, and he said to his father, like, do I take these shoes? Do I buy new shoes? Like, what do I do? And his dad said, hold on, I'm gonna fix it, and stuck a piece of cardboard in the shoe and said, hopefully that will hold it up for you until you're able to buy new shoes in the States. Which is definitely a sign of, I would think, it's not like the affection obviously you hope for, but it's part of some kind of affection, from his father. And he said when he got to the States, obviously it was difficult. He didn't speak the language. He was scared. Um, but he knew that he could get there. He knew he could do the work and get there. And it's like, this man comes from such humble beginnings. And it actually made me like him a little bit. But he comes from such humble beginnings, but he is not at all humble. And that's the part that drives me nuts. I like the people who are so successful. They do really well. They make a lot of money. And they're great, but they're humble about it because they came from humble beginnings. They didn't come with that silver spoon in their mouth, but he acts like he did. It's just, that's the part that drives me a little nuts about him. And I think he would be, like, I think he's gonna go far, but I think he would be so much more likable, I think, to me, because I know I have a coworker who also watches the show and he doesn't like him either, but I haven't talked to him about it. We need to do an update, but um, he didn't like him either. He would go a lot further, I think, with the audience if he was a little more humble. He is who he is, and it's okay to be like, I did this. I worked hard. I got where I am, and it's an incredible story. If you think of where he came from to where he is now, he did the damn thing. He is an incredible person, and he did it. I just wish you were a little more humble about it. That's all. But anyway, we do kind of a back and forth here. Back at the mansion, we got a date card, and this is the group date. So on the group date, we have Chalk, Gil, Dan, Charles L, SK, Greg, Gary, Guy, Kim, Jordan, Mark, and Keith. And it says, let's play the field together, which means that Jonathan is the one who gets the next one-on-one date. But here's the thing with Jonathan. I think this is the first in Bachelor Nation history. He is very grateful about getting this date, but he's nervous, which is fine, okay? He doesn't feel ready for that one-on-one, and that's where I'm like, whoa. I don't think I have ever heard a single person on the show before say, I don't want this one-on-one date. I want to be on the group date. And that's when he was saying, we'll kind of see a little, as he says here, he starts crying. Y'all, he is crying because he does not want to go on this one-on-one. He'd rather be on the group date because he doesn't want the focus on him. And he's afraid that if the focus is all on him, she's not going to like him. Okay. that's, I understand it. I do. I really, really do. And therapy, I don't know. Like, he's definitely dealt with a lot of rejection in life, for sure, and crazy rejection. Like, I don't understand how someone wakes up one day and decides, I don't want to be with you anymore. Like, I can't picture that. Like, I know it happens, but like, I just don't understand that when you have a marriage, you have kids. It just doesn't make sense. But anyway, yeah, we'll see how that goes. So back at the date, they go on the high roller, which is like the London Eye version in Vegas, and he gets the rose. So we'll have him for another week. But that's it for that date. We are at the group day now, and we are at like a football field, and we got these sports people who walk in that I don't know who they are, but one is Eric Dickerson or Dixon or whatever the fuck, and Andre Reed. Now that is a name I've heard. Andre Reed is a name I've heard. He also looked familiar. Like, they're hot, but like, he looked familiar. But I don't know who these sports people are. I don't know. You give me sports people, I have no clue. Anyways, so we're gonna be playing kickball. Now, I've played kickball. I love kickball. Here, I don't know if this is a Canadian thing or if this was just my elementary school, but we used to call it soccer football. That's what we called it. Instead of kickball, we would call it soccer football. And every time, like, soccer football for me or kickball was like a treat. And whenever we heard we got to play soccer, football, kickball, um, I would be so excited. I hated soccer. I hated baseball. But you put that shit together and I was like, yes, like, let's do this. But anyway, so they are doing some stretching, they're practicing. Joan says, I'm more of a quickie on the field. Ooh, I shouldn't have said that, girl. First of all, quickies are fun sometimes. Not everyone wants a quickie. But yes, she said she's a quickie on the field. I don't know what she was trying to say. I guess she was trying to say that she's not good on, like, she's like me. She's not a sports person. And she doesn't like to play them very much. She's more of a cornhole girl, which is fine. But quickie on the field, that was funny. She's got jokes. So the winners of this game, so we're going to be splitting teams, two teams, will be the ones who are going to the after party, while the losers have to go back to the mansion. So Charles is like, I have never done this before. I don't know if I'm going to win. I guess it depends on the people who are on my team if I'm going to win. And but he says, but I will do my best. I love him. But then the game begins, and the red team goes first. So we're kicking, and it was kind of a slow start. The blue team was kind of kicking some butt here. But Mark gets his leg gets a leg cramp. Everyone is getting cramps, and I think at one point, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Keith. Kind of says, we all think we're teenagers. Our brains tell us we are, but our bodies tell us something else. And then Greg slides into home plate and he gets a nasty bruise. We see it later. It's so gross. But then the blue team goes up to do their kicking. And poor Charles is like so unsure with himself. He's like, so do I kick it? How? What do I do after I kick it? And he kicks it right to Guy, which basically just makes him out immediately. You can't kick it back to the pitcher. It's way too easy. You gotta kick that shit far so that you have a chance to get to first base at the very least. Um, but as you know, he didn't get out. Sorry, that was incorrect. He was able to get to first plate, no problem. So he's like, "Did you see that?" He's so cute. He's like, "They didn't catch it." I love him. I love him so much. He's he's my favorite person, bar none. Like I said, Mark is my favorite person for different reasons. Charles is my favorite for just the wholesome reasons. Anyway, so Quaker is our sponsor for this episode, I guess. And they're laying it on thick. And I'm like, oh, so you're trying to do the redemption arc because of the recalls earlier in the year. Okay, I see you. Anyway, so then we have the blue team winning. They won this whole thing. And the red team needs some ice packs when they get home because they're struggling. But then one got no, I don't know what I wrote here, but oh no, we have the after party, but we'll get to oh no, we're doing the after party right now. So Kim is all beat up. Charles tells Joan about his conversation with Guy, and Joan can't believe that no one told him about the bleeding and the source of it. But that she's happy that he has the answers now. Then we see the guys get to the mansion, and Greg, like I said, is all scraped up. And then back at the date, Joan gets a kiss. Oh, sorry, not a kiss, a call. Jeez, she probably does get a kiss at some point, but she gets a call from, um, uh, about her mom. Basically, she's not doing very well. She's kind of struggling. I don't know if she wasn't eating well. That was part of the problem, but there was something else also going on. Like she wasn't doing very well. And Joan is like, I am her caretaker. I am like, I'm the one who takes care of it. Like, I don't know if she has any other siblings, but she's the one. And she feels kind of bad not being there. And obviously she's worrying, but she talks to Gary and she kind of tells him that, her mom isn't doing very well. And he says, "What's her name?" And she tells him, I can't remember what her name was, but he says, "I'm gonna keep her in my prayers." Um, and he does a very sweet thing later that we'll talk about, but yeah, Gary's such a sweetheart. Anyway, then she talks to Gil. Listen, I'm not gonna go into it very much with Gil. I don't even remember what the man said. I can't tell you what the hell this man said because I don't care. But at the end of the day, he gets the rose, which is like, I'm not mad at Joan. Joan didn't know. It's not Joan's fault in any way. It's the show. It's the show I'm mad at because it's like we've never had these types of issues before like this in such close succession because there is going to be something else that comes up about someone else on this show that I will talk about in a future episode. But I'm just really upset with the fact that we had what's his name again, the one Jen picked, Devin. We had Devin with his shenanigans long before the shenanigans with Jen. We had Gil here. And now there's also Guy. Guy's another one that we'll talk about in the next episode or another episode. But I'm just so frustrated with this. And the fact that this asshole gets a rose is so frustrating for me. I'm sure it's frustrating for everyone else. I listen to Reality Gaze who covers this, and they too are just very frustrated with the fact that something like it's only 90 Day Fiance. We expect this shit from TLC and Matt Sharp, which is not great, but we expect it. Them dropping the ball. But a show like Bachelor, Bachelorette, Golden Bachelor, Golden Bachelorette, Bachelor, just Bachelor Nation in general, the Bachelor universe in general. We expect so much more from them, and this is really disappointing. But anyway, he gets the rose. It is what it is. But that is it for the group date. We're gonna take a quick break here, and when we come back, we will jump back in with the final group one-on-one date. And I am back. So let's jump into the one-on-one date. So the next day, the group date guys are getting massages because they need it. However, Guy is a little different in how he likes to do massages. He likes to do it commando. And he's like, the butt is also a muscle. Sir, so is the one on the front. That's the part we're more concerned about, not your butt. Anyway, so Jonathan is heading to the one-on-one date. He's going on his own by limo to meet her. And he's worried. As I've mentioned, he's worried to be completely exposed. During this date, he's used to being, I guess, on a group date where he's not the sole focus. And we're heading to the desert, which is a choice. And we're going horseback riding. However, Joan does not like horses. She had a little bit of a situation with a horse biting her, so she hasn't liked horses since then. He too has never ridden a horse before, and she figured that he did since he's from Iowa and everything. So, of course, he must have been able to ride a horse at some point. I mean, I'm not from Iowa, and I've ridden a horse. It doesn't matter where you're from, and it's because it's horse land, I guess. It doesn't mean you've necessarily ridden one. But anyways, she says hopefully these ones are a little tamer than the one that bit her. They're probably trail horses. Trail horses are usually, for the most part, very tame horses. So I don't know what horse, well, maybe the horse was having a bad day. But I don't know what kind of horse she was dealing with, but trail horses are usually pretty good. But back at the house for a little bit, Kim is writing a song. Why is this man writing a song? He is writing a song. And he's calling it the Mansion Men, and he wants the guys to be a part of it. So everyone's like listening to him sing the song, and Mark, was it Mark? Someone says to him, you know, well, the guy, I think it's actually Gary. Gary's like, I don't want to sing this. I don't want to sing the song. I want to. And he literally says, like, we can't really give it the justice. Like, you should do it because it's like, it's from you. And he's like, it's from all of us. No, it's from you, not from us. And he's like, I don't see the problem. Like, I wrote this song for everybody. Like, why can't everyone just say, do the song? Beethoven, he wrote the fifth symphony. Oh my God, symphony. I'm okay, but he didn't perform it on his own. He had a symphony. So I'm like, wait a minute, Captain Kim. Are you comparing your skills to Beethoven's Fifth Symphony or Beethoven's anything? Beethoven, you will never be. And the song is not good. Him singing is not, it's like he got these, like, I got the standing ovation. So let me just, like, continue it. My guy, let it go. So anyway, so back at the date, they go to this kind of spot. I guess they're gonna be sitting like on a bench, and I said, I hope the horses get some water because that's what I'm thinking about. But they are by this lake, this body of water of some sort, and they're drinking champagne. And he talks about his Native American side because he's mixed. He's Native American and as well. He's also, black. So he talks about that and him connecting to that side of him, and he explains that the most important symbol is the turtle, and he says that he feels like a turtle, sometimes like protecting himself. And he kind of tells her about his ex-wife also wanting the divorce, and he says, the kids were sleeping, I was sleeping, and she wakes him up and says, I want to talk, and says that I want a divorce. Just like that. Just out of the blue. I'm sorry. Something was going on. There has to be more to the story. Like, I believe him, but at the same time, I feel like there's something missing. I just don't see a woman who has kids with this man. I don't know how long they were married for, but you've had a life with this man. You just one day decide you wanted to get a divorce. I'm sorry, there's more to this. Either there's something he's leaving out, or there's something he wasn't aware of. Something more had to happen here. Like, something. Even if the other party thinks it's completely out of the blue, there is something. It just doesn't just happen, you know? I don't, there's a key piece missing. So anyway, and he said that he felt like he wasn't enough. He has this fear of not being enough. And he says, like, I feel like, he doesn't know if he could be enough for Joan. And before she makes him feel like you are enough, of course. She gives him the rose. And when they're heading back to wherever the limo is, they kind of start seeing hawks in the sky. And of course, if you remember from the first episode, Joan talked about the fact that she would see hawks a lot, and that was kind of her symbol that her husband's around. Um, and for some reason, she takes the hawks showing up as a negative sign, which I don't know, I was a little confused on whether or not she was taking this as a negative or positive, but I think because of everything that's happening with her mom, um, also her having doubts on whether or not she's ready for this, she takes this as a negative. I mean, take it as you may, but for me, I took this as he's with you on this journey. He's with you on this. I don't think he would not, I don't think he would ever, I mean, here's what I wonder. Go with me on this. It's interesting that if she takes it as a negative, they show up during Jonathan's date. I, I like him. He's hot. He's probably one of the hottest ones there, besides Mark, of course. But he's great and whatever. But I think he's the best man, like the best in terms of the shape, like how in shape they are. He's in shape. That's a body yada yada. Anyway, but besides that, there's something about him that I felt from moment one that I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's something, I don't know what it is, but there's something about you. And that's how I felt about SK2 during Love is Blind. Didn't know what it was, but there was something about him that rubbed me the wrong way. Oh, look how that turned out. So I I hope I'm wrong, but there's something. I don't know what it is. So I do wonder if her husband kind of showing up is maybe him also saying, that ain't it. That ain't it for you. I don't know. But yeah, I guess we'll see. But that's basically it for the the last one on one date. I have not yet finished the rest of this episode. I thought I did, but I have not finished the rest of the episode. So we're going to take, it's not really a break. You're not going to know any different. We're just going to take a quick pause here so we can finish the episode and then we will finish it up. Yeah, stay tuned. Again, like I said, you're not going to feel any different. So we'll be right back. Okay, I am back to finish up this episode. Of course, again, you probably didn't feel any different. We're just going to go from one to the other. I'm actually recording this the next day from the actual recording, the rest of the recording, but let's just finish this up. So this week has been a lot for Joan, and she has been pushing things down and not telling the guys how she is feeling because this is what they're going to get, she says. This is, they're not always going to get, happy-go-lucky Joan or anything like that. Like, this is what they're getting. So you kind of have to just show them what they're getting. So she gets to the mansion and she's like, let's have a seat. And she kind of tells them, in my life, I'm the caregiver. I'm the one that, um, I guess tends to push things down, and for other people, which I definitely can relate to. So I think like this is something that for people who are like this could be like, oh yeah, like I kind of recognize that in myself. So I kind of recognize that in myself a little bit too, hearing her talk about this. But she says, when you open up, I want to take care of you. I want to, I'm not necessarily in her words, but for me, it's like you want to take care of that person and you also want to like not put more on them, even though like you want to come out and say certain things, you're just like, I want to make sure you're okay first and foremost. And even if that means me pushing aside my own thing, but, um, she's like, I realize though that I'm not opening up. So starting today, I am going to open up. And she's like, because being strong, it's exhausting. And I'm tired. And I thought that was really well said. She says, my mom is 92. And everything that happens, with her obviously scares her. Obviously, like I guess to a point where your parent is going to pass away, but it's still really hard to just let that kind of happen. And she says, people ask if I am ready. And honestly, I want to say I am, but I'm not because John was an important part of my life. She's like, I may not always be 100%. Sometimes I might be 90, I might be 80. But this is what it is. And they obviously really understand that. These are a wonderful group of men. And Mark says that there will always be a part of you that won't be like 100%. You won't be able to give that 100% because you already kind of gave this huge part of yourself to the person who's now gone. And you can't give everything again to someone new, but I can give you a really big part of what's left. So I thought that was kind of, he didn't say a lot, I kind of paraphrased, but that was, I think, really well said. So Chalk pulls her aside and he says he's proud of her vulnerability. And he gets, with her mom being, um, you know, where she is medically, you know, because with his mom, she has stage 4 cancer, as we know. And he said, you might not be 100% because you got the memories of that person. And you don't want to lose those memories of that person, which I think is really well said. And she feels Chalk is kind of like a fixer, and she says John was a fixer. So she's really kind of, I think, gravitating towards him. Like, I feel like I'm at a point where I can probably do a top 4, and I think I'm going to do it at the end of this. It's kind of also based off of the next episode as well, which I have watched. So I'm not going to give anything away from that. I kind of already did in the beginning of this, but we'll talk about it more there at that episode. But I think I'm in a place where I can kind of do, I think, a top 4. And then I will kind of do my prediction. And I think we're kind of at a point, and again, I'm probably again referring to people who are still there. So I think what I'll do once this episode is out is I will do our famous polls to see what everyone else thinks about the top four. I'll reserve who I think she'll be picking until the next episode. Because probably by then I've watched the fifth episode, so that's probably where I'm at. But let's get to it. Back to this. So, then Gary, he framed this prayer that he did for her mom. Her mom's name's Mary. And he framed the prayer for her, and he recites the prayer, and it was a very beautiful prayer. It was very beautiful. I think he is a beautiful soul. I really do. I mean, there's really, she has an amazing group of men. Now, there are some problematic men in the group as well. But that aside, a really great group of men. So she says, I definitely believe in the power of prayer. And she says, my mom is actually doing better. And I thought, absolutely, prayer. However you pray, whoever you pray to, it is very powerful. So Charles gives her a picture of his wife, and he tells her, if you're ready, I'll be ahead of you. If you're not ready, I'll be behind you. I love him so much. Then all of a sudden we get this limo, just kind of out of nowhere. You're like, who the hell is this? And out walks Gary, Gerry, from our Golden Bachelor, who is not as favorable as the Gary we currently have. So Jesse goes to her and he's like, I'm sorry to interrupt. Someone's here to see you. Nothing bad. They just want to talk to you. And when she goes outside and she sees him, she's very happy to see him. They seem to have a close friendship at the very least. And they're sitting on the exact bench where she had to tell him that she had to leave. So she's like, I never thought we would be sitting on this bench again, a year later, having this conversation. So he asks her, so how's it going? How do you feel? And she says, like, got an amazing man in there. She says it's very emotional, which, I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of crying this season, but there was also a lot of crying last season, and it was mostly Gary. Men, you know what? And it's fine. Men cry, let it all out. It's fine. So we kind of talk about the fact of, with being widows, you don't want to find that replacement of that person. Like, he wasn't looking for a Tony 2.0. She's not looking for a John 2.0. And you ought to be fair to the men that are here, because you don't want to find the man who closely resembles her late husband, right? And he tells her, open up and be yourself, which I think she's doing wonderfully. I know she says that she's not opening up and stuff like that, but I think she's still handling herself very, very perfectly. And he asks, have you considered that your guy is not here? And I said, Gary, shut up. Now, I know he was asking because, like, have you considered that maybe your person is just not in this group? Because, spoiler alert for those who don't know, I mean, especially at the time of filming here, him and what was her name again? Teresa. Him and Teresa are no longer together. We know this. They had divorced a couple months back, or was filing for divorce a couple months back. So clearly, his person wasn't here. I personally think his person was there, but he just screwed it. So whatever. So this is why I kind of understand maybe why that's why he's saying it, but in the back of my mind, I'm just like, I just feel like you, Garrett, want to wiggle yourself back into this. Because as we remember from last season, he seemed to have this really great connection with Joan, and unfortunately was cut too short too soon. So it was kind of like, is there a chance kind of situation? But luckily he came, he did what he had to do, and he dipped. Because we don't want him back. He disappointed, I think, a lot of us. She says she did consider that before she got here, but not so much now. She's very confident in the men that she has. And he says that I'm rooting for you and you can't be perfect, but be yourself. And I think basically that's it. Send him home, get rid of him. We're good. Thank you so much, Gary. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Back to the guys. Captain Kim and Guy are singing the Mansion Men. We are the Mansion Men, the Mansion, whatever the hell. It sounds like a what's a term when it's like a sea song? You know what I mean? Um, what's the term? I know you're all screaming like not shandy. Shandy? You know what I mean. You know exactly what I mean, and I'm not coming with the friggin' word in my mind right now, but that's what it sounds like, a sea shandy. That's what it sounds like. I think that's the right term. That's what it literally sounds like. It's so weird, but it's not great. It's really not. And she says, she said, I'm not deserving of this. She says that to Kim and Guy, and they both just say to her, yes, you are. You are deserving of this. Tell yourself you're deserving of this. Don't say the negative stuff. Manifest it, you know? But now we have the rose ceremony. So again, as we always do, we're going to go through the guys she picks, and then we'll go through the guys she doesn't. So we have Guy, Dan, Gary, Jordan, Chalk, Charles, Keith, and Mark. Say the best for last. Going home is CK, Captain, for the very last time. Captain Lee, aka Captain Kim, and Greg. And that's basically that. That's what we have. So, in terms of my top 4, so again, I'm going to give it like some time. I probably will do, I probably should do who I think she's going to pick, but I'm probably going to wait till the 5th episode. Just so we're not going too far ahead, but I think we're at a point where we can do a top 4. So let's do that top 4, guys. And let me know. Sound off. I'm going to do the poll again in Twitter, and then I will do, I think Twitter is probably the best place to do. Maybe I'll do Facebook as well, but usually Twitter seems to be a lot of traffic there. So let's do that. And here's what I think my top 4 is, and I would love to hear what you think. So I think for sure Chalk is on the top. Mark, 1,000%. Those are the 2. After that, I think, that's tough because I feel like those are the top 2 for sure. But I think after that, let's look at the list here. What do we have left here? I think Jordan, definitely 4. And Keith. Who else did we have on dates here? Oh, no. Scratch that. Okay, Chalk. Definitely Chalk. Definitely Mark. I think Jonathan and Pascal. I think those are our top 4. That's what I think the top 4 is. So let me know what you think. Again, that's Chalk, Mark, Pascal, and Jonathan. Tell me what you think. If you agree with the top 4, I'll kind of I don't know if I really will do a poll, but maybe I'll do a poll, whatever, and you guys can say what you think. But I probably do a poll with everyone who's left, and that'll probably be the top 5, whoever is in the top at the 5th episode. Or maybe I'll do it after the 4. Who knows? I'll do this. I'm talking as I go here. I'll do this during the next episode, after the next episode I do, which will be episode 4, I think. I'll do it then. And whoever is left over will do it for that, and you can tell me what you think. But that's what I think. I think the top 4 is going to be those guys. So yeah, we'll do that. But that's it for this episode.
The next thing you're going to get after this is going to be a Love is Blind. We're going to do a Love is Blind. We have 3 and 4 keyed up, ready to go. So we will do those next. Working on 5 and 6. I want to get through that first batch. And then we'll do some 90-day, get back to the 90 universe for a bit. But that is it for this episode.
So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.